This week, I'm going to try out some different warm-up exercises you can do to practice art. One of my least favorite moments as an artist is when I look at a blank piece of paper or canvas and nothing happens. I just stare at it, waiting for some great idea to come to me. A lot of people call this art block, and today I want to talk about 5 exercises you can do to break out of it. Sometimes just putting something or anything on your page is going to break you out of that mindset and get you back to creating. For this first drawing exercise, you're going to take either watercolor, gouache, markers, whatever you feel like, and make random blobs all over your paper. Next, take some kind of pen and start drawing characters, monsters, whatever you feel like drawing out of these blobs. It's kind of like that game we used to play as kids where you made shapes out of clouds. The important thing to remember here is you're not trying to make a masterpiece. You're trying to develop your skills as an artist and break out of art block. All of these exercises are you focusing on the process, not the finished product. One of the causes of art block is the pressure we put on ourselves to make impressive art. It's really easy to allow your need for perfection to stop you from making anything. If our goal is making something perfect, then we know before we even start that we're going to fail. Because who can make a perfect piece of artwork? So this exercise is about taking the pressure off yourself. Like when you make the first pancake. The first pancake's always the one that looks a little rough, but that's okay because the next pancake you make is probably going to be better. It's the same way with art. I could even tell a difference just in the time that I took to make these little characters. The first ones I made were pretty rough, to say the least. But as I warmed up to doing this, they started to get better and more creative. That is also why many artists recommend doing warm-up exercises. While this exercise is great for breaking out of art block, it's a little long to use as a warm-up. So that brings me to drawing exercise 2, which is a great warm-up exercise. All you're going to need is your paper, your drawing utensil, and a random object. The goal of this exercise is to draw the object without lifting your pen. This is called a continuous line drawing. You're also not allowed to erase anything, and you want to try and draw this as quickly as possible, drawing as you're observing. When you're faced with art block, sometimes it's better to give yourself a break from creating something new and instead to just do a bit of drawing practice. As we all know, art is made up of a lot of lines. Learning to observe the lines of an object can help you to create more accurate proportions and shapes. This exercise is also great for helping you loosen up, developing your hand-eye coordination, and gaining better control over your tool. There's also a variation you can make to this exercise called line contour line drawing. And that's what I'm doing here with these other drawings. This is very similar to the continuous line drawing where you never lift your pen, but instead of looking at your drawing surface, you only look at the subject. This one is quite a bit more challenging, but it's a lot of fun too. Alright, this third drawing exercise is going to be setting a timer and drawing whatever you feel like drawing. For me, I set a 10-minute timer, a 5-minute timer, and a 1-minute timer, and tried to draw a portrait in each of those times. Just like the continuous line drawing exercise, this exercise is great for warming up or for just getting some practice in. One of the main benefits to warm-up exercises like this one are their ability to loosen you up. When we draw, we want it to be from our elbow and shoulder, not from our wrist. This gives you more range of motion and more control. Keeping that in mind during your warm-up exercises will help you build the habit so that when you move on to your normal drawing for the day, you won't have to think about it as much. This exercise really allows you to focus on what you are drawing and block out the distractions around you or the thoughts running through your mind. You also have to make your decisions quickly, which builds those hand-eye coordination and observational skills. It is often forgotten that drawing is a skill. It requires regular practice and effort in order to improve. It's a lot like being an athlete. You must learn good form and build your muscle memory through drills. Doing drawing exercises trains an artist's hands and brain. When you are facing art block, it can be because you're feeling drained, either creatively, emotionally, or physically. Instead of forcing yourself to create something new, turning to these exercises that are a little more mundane and require less thought can help you keep up with your drawing practice without exhausting you. Although I wasn't using one here, I definitely recommend using a reference photo in this case. Alright, here's drawing exercise number 4 to help you warm up, practice, and beat art block. Tracing is a slightly undervalued way to improve your drawing. It's also slightly a controversial topic because it is easy to use it as a crutch, but when you use tracing correctly, I think it's a very valuable way to learn and practice your skills. Many famous and prominent artists throughout history have used tracing as a method for study. It's specifically a great tool for beginner artists, but eventually you will want to move away from it as you grow and develop your skills. When you are consciously tracing over an image, it helps you observe and analyze the shapes you're seeing. This can especially be helpful when you're learning anatomy and dealing with tough angles, foreshortening, and perspective. It's also a great tool for study because one of the main components of practice is repetition. As you can see here, I'm using some modified versions of head drawing methods to break down what I'm seeing and place the different features of the face. This is what I would call consciously tracing. As I've mentioned, observation is one of the most important skills for an artist, and if you're not consciously tracing, then you're just going through the motions and not being observant. This is one of the downsides to tracing, along with the fact that tracing doesn't allow you to convey your unique perspective through your line choices. This is why I believe tracing is a great way to study, but that it can easily become a crutch. Another great tracing exercise is to first trace your image and then try freehanding it. This allows you to compare your drawings and see where you need to improve. And finally, here's drawing exercise number 5, which just so happens to be my favorite. For this exercise, you're going to take 2 to 3 random words and create a drawing from it. My random words are pizza angel. One of the biggest causes to art block is simply the fact that we are faced with so many options. This is often called paralysis of choice. And even though it sounds counterintuitive, when we limit our options, it actually gives us room to be more creative. This is because one of the main components of creativity is actually problem solving. So when we set a limitation or restraint, such as giving ourselves only 2 words to create a drawing, we're more likely to make something that's creative and unique that we wouldn't have without those limitations. This random word generator also allows us to experiment with something that we probably never would have created otherwise. And anything that we draw, even if it's in practice and it's a pizza angel, could spark an idea for something else. All of us have dealt with art block and felt discouraged and been at a loss for creative ideas at one time or another. The best thing you can do during those times is to find a reason to just sit down and put pen to paper. And maybe one of these 5 drawing exercises can be that thing to get you motivated again. Whether you are looking for an exercise to overcome art block, practice, or to just warm up, I hope this video has been helpful for you. And if you'd like to see more videos like this, don't forget to subscribe, and thank you all for watching.